decided to do was start working on this raised ranch here, just to kind of get it at least far enough along where I can figure out where on the layout I want to put it. If I want to modify it, I like the kit. I like the look of it, but I did want to change things a little bit. I think we're going to add some brick in along here, and I wanted to move the garage doors from the front to the side, just the way it's on the layout. And I've seen a lot of raised ranches where the garage doors actually are on this end wall. Well, that's all good, but being a little bit aggressive, I actually went and started building the darn thing, had the inner core all together, and then decided to move the garage doors. Well, that's not the way to do it, trust me, like I said. So what I did was measure the doors, moved them all here to the end. Let me see if I can make this look a little bit better. And then went ahead and cut them out using this little bit of a jig with some steel blocks so I could actually cut against it. Again, this would have been a lot easier if I had just done this before it came out of the, before I had to, glue together. But very carefully, I was able to cut these, the vertical lines with the building upside down with, just used a razor saw. That went fine. And then very, very carefully and slowly, cut across here, just taking my time. And then eventually the pieces do indeed come out. So I'll get that piece out. And then these drop pieces, I'm going to use those over here to fill in the original garage openings, and then just brick all across that. So all right, so that's that. So let's see what this looks like when I get it down out of this little jig I made here. All right, so there's the front, and here are the two pieces that I added back in. And you can see I was off a little bit in my measurements, but not enough, I think, to throw the world out of kilter. Like I said, I like to put brick now in all this part of it here. Leave that with the, really probably should be vinyl siding, but I'll just use the stuff that came in the kit. And all you just peel this adhesive off, and you can just stick the wall pieces right on. So I'll be able to use all that, then the same thing, peel it off and stick on my brick. Oops. Either brick paper or whatever I decide to use. And then here are the new garage doors at the end. And there's a little bit of leeway there. I'll clean them up a little bit, but there's a frame that goes around it. And I really don't like the garage doors that came with the kit. They just don't look like modern garage doors. Probably over time, even if this house was built, say in the 70s or something like that, or whatever, in that long a time period, it probably would have new garage doors. And then the question comes, do I want to model one or both of the garage doors open so you can see into the garage? That might be interesting. Again, seeing in a house could be a little bit of a challenge just because of curtains and whatnot, but you may be able to look in there and see in the garage, based on where I'm going to have it on the layout. So then that means I got to worry about putting some type of slab in there for the garage door floor and walls up so you can't see into the house, and all that kind of, and maybe a light in there. And anyway, so I'll probably go ahead and get these pieces in, probably glue a piece across the back, just across where they are down there to secure them in. And then we will be able to determine what else I want to do to this thing. I did get a reference picture of there's where I got the idea for the brick, and that looks similar to this kit. You can see how the land's elevated. I don't know if I'm going to do that at all. I'm not sure. Then I moved the garage doors to the end, so it'll be a little bit different. But again, it's always good to have at least prototype photos to give you an idea. All right, so we will continue ahead and report as we move along here on this house. All right, let's do a little bit of work here on these garage door and getting the floor figured out. I'm looking at the doors and thinking, wait a minute, I better check something. So I got my handy dandy HO scale SUV and brought that puppy up, and sure enough, that garage door is not big enough. I don't know who's scaling these kits, but that's not going to fit. So what I'm going to have to do, I have some Northeastern scale lumber, 8" by a foot scale. And I'll just use that, and I'll raise the whole building up by about a foot. And then once I do that, things will be okay. And again, I probably can't do this with one hand, but you know, that way that SUV, it is hard to do this. We'll fit in. It's tight side to side, but that's okay, because I know our garage side to side is tight, because more than a couple of times I think my wife almost ripped off the mirrors on the vehicle coming out, so I don't think that side to side is that bad. So I'm going to do something to do that. That's alright, and we'll make that work. Thinking about putting the floor in. This is actually a piece out of the Rick's highway overpass that I cut down. I like it because it's square. It looks like a concrete pad. So I might be able to use that, you know, inside there for the floor once I get everything figured out, and then get a, you know, garage roof on it and everything. So, all right. So just another note: you got to be checking this stuff, because, like I say, you know, a lot of stuff we do model railroad wise, we think they're big, and it's really not. When you really start measuring stuff real world, things are often a lot larger than you think. Just, you know, you guys got to be careful, that's all. I did measure the doors. They're 7 foot tall. So I think normal people can get in and out of this house. Not like the little Hobbit house I built before in the other update. So there's the original doors. So that, I mean, they would have been too short for that SUV anyway. So it's not that I cut them too short. I think I did a little bit, but you know, that still would have been tough to back an SUV in there. And you know, everyone nowadays has got SUVs, so it's not like it's an unusual thing. All right, so I'll get to work, basically get you know, the foundation put on this to raise it up about a foot, and keep plugging away. Alrighty, got it weighted up, got the extra foot there on the bottom. I decided to go ahead and just run it across the end there and the door there. It's just easier to glue it on, having to work with small pieces, and I have a little razor blade here. It's got a little, like a little razor saw, and when it's all dried up, I'll just come back in and then cut those pieces out, and not have to worry with trying to line up and play with small pieces. So okay, let that dry up, and we'll come back in a bit. Alright, moving along here on the house. I think I'm going to go ahead and put brick in, as you can see there, as opposed to the kit provides the, you know, same type of siding that would fit in there. And obviously I moved the garage to the side, so pretty simple. I can use that as a template and just cut it out. I think that brick will probably look the best, and then keep the same type of siding up here. I thought about using something like this, but I just don't know. That might look a little bit too bizarre. I kind of like it. I don't know yet. I'm not sure. But I'm leaning toward the brick. And so I got that done. I need to get some... this is just taped on there now, and it's just printed. I use it from Evans Design out of their Brickyard series. I think it looks the best. So I'll do that, and then I'll keep the same siding on the side. And what I'm thinking of doing on the end here with the garage, I might continue the brick around the side, kind of cut this off right across there, and then have this be brick, brick, brick. I think that might look a little bit more, I don't say natural, but I don't know. I think it might look better. I'm sure either way it could be done, but well, that's what I'm going to do. So you can see I got the garage floor in there. I'm definitely got to do something to modify these garage doors. I don't like the ones that came in the kit. They just don't look right to me. And I'm probably going to, again, do some detail on the interior of the building. Right now I have the one floor in there. Let's see if you can, that'll enable me, because this lines up with the back porch there, at least to block things off. I do have walls cut and set to do some interior wall off, so I can put some lights probably in, you know, these two bedrooms. I think there's a bedroom, probably a master bedroom. I'm thinking a master bath, a bath, and a kitchen, and a living room. So I'm probably going to do that. That's just sitting there now, so that's the detail. That's how I did it for the garage. I have it set up with some notches cut so I can run some LEDs into the garage to light it, detail it. You do some stuff because you may be able to see in kind of at an angle like that, you know, into the garage. I'm not sure if I want both doors open, just do one. I'm not sure yet, but more to come on that. So that's kind of where I am. One thing I do got to consider, the way it's going to go into the scenery, I might have the hill come up a little bit like this. I might sit into a hill. And if I do that, I believe I probably ought to cut some of the siding off and make it concrete. Just looking at the reference photo, if I can, that even shows up without falling all over the place. Let me see if I can make that look a little bit better. Alright, so you see this house came into the hill and the siding stopped, and it's like, you know, just kind of concrete down in here. You can see that, if you can see that there. So I ought to do the same thing, I think. Again, not that it's a huge deal, but I probably would want to just lower this so you can see this a little better. And if I do put this into the hill, I ought to cut the siding up somewhere at the level where the hill will be, or just slightly above it, and make it look like it's, you know, foundation across there. I guess I probably ought to do it in the back, but I'm not sure, because the hill will probably come up like this and then around if I set it back. So I don't know, more to think about on that. So I want to keep, you know, moving along here a little bit. Try to get some of the interior lights done. Get the where I'm going to use this siding. Go ahead and get it on, which is simple. You just peel and stick it, so it's pretty easy. And probably ought to decide if I want to cut this up a little bit so it looks better when it's sitting inside against the hill. So okay, enough babbling. That's just kind of some thoughts and where we are on the construction of this split level home. Alright, a little bit more here on the house. I decided to go ahead and got the end outer panels on. And again, this is for the concrete there at the bottom. And on the back side, not really knowing exactly how they would do it. Just kind of guessing. I have the back piece on I cut out, so because the hill's going to come along and kind of come up, you know, partially through that, so that way that kind of keeps that off of that siding. Got the end one done, and there at the end you can also see, or maybe you can't see, not sure how well it's going to show up in the video, but what I'm doing for where I'm going to put the brick, I got some northeastern siding, and this is actually thin siding, you know, slotted siding. 32nd, then that'll allow me to put something in there that I can then put the brick pattern on, slide it in, glue it in, and it allows me, gives me the overlap that I need here and here, and plus it helps build out in here, because there's a piece that goes here that if I didn't have that, there's a gap. So that this kind of flushes things up when I put it all together. And I said this is really, really thin, so I did have to put the piece around the garage. I actually glued it on. I'll have to cut the brick out and put it on because it was starting to break. I don't know if we can see that here. Try to adjust that so you can see better. But anyway, but right in here, since it's so thin, it started to break. So I decided to, you know, go ahead and get it secured onto the building so I don't lose it or break it anymore. And then, as I was playing around, it came up, I really want to put a bay window on this. I just think it would look kind of neat. So what I did was I went into my box of windows and doors, mostly Tichy, but some Northeastern and Branchline stuff, and found windows that were close. Yeah. And then cut them out, made them into a bay window, and glued them together. Now it's not done yet, so now what I'm going to do right now is, you know, cut a piece out for the bottom and the top, and then work on something to probably call it 2 triangle pieces and a piece to kind of give it a little bit of a slope for the roof, or I guess they call it the roof over the bay window. So that's going to be the bay window, and that will then sit right in here. So I don't think it's architecturally perfect, but I think it's going to do what I want it to do, make it look like a bay window. And I did a Google search, man. There's all kinds of different bay windows. Wow. I mean, all kinds of varieties. And this could have been a custom one, since the original window was not a bay window. However, the homeowners wanted to add it, so they had a local guy make them up a window, and that's what it's going to be. All right, so I just wanted to kind of show that before I get it all done. It's just, like I said, just 2 of these smaller windows for the side, 1 of these for the front, which is a 2 window, and then very carefully set up. I didn't measure the angles. I just kind of held it till it looked right, and dabbed on some plastic weld, and it's there it is. It's held together. So, all right, we'll keep building that and see how it looks when we get it done. All right, a little bit of in progress here on the bay window. I was able to get it, get tops and bottoms put in. This here is, I hope, will be the bottom. I think it's like it might be like an 020 or 30. I made the top piece a little bit thinner. That's only an 010, because when I put the sloped roof on it, I kind of wanted to have something in along here where it could kind of sit against. So I figured I'd make that piece a little bit thinner. I also had to, on the actual piece where it's going to mount, and that might not show up, but I came in and I sanded and used a knife real carefully to make it flush. Just took off some of the siding there and make it flush where the window's going to sit back inside there. So that's ready. And then the fun part, I started cutting various pieces and trying to get the right angles and heights that I want for this piece, which I'm going to glue in like that, and then put some type, I don't know if I'll put shingles on it or make it like a metal roof. Again, because this was an addition to the house, not an original window. So and that's a piece that I cut and played around. You can see some of my trial and error over here. I'm not saying I'm a scientist or an architect, but I think if I get that in there, and you see the angles are scored and then very carefully bent, because I don't want them to break. I just want to get the angle on that piece, and then I'll glue that in like that, get it glued, let it set up, and then I should have a bay window. Then I got to work on, obviously I got to work on, probably want to get it painted, and then get the the clear plastic in there, which I'll have to cut out and fit in and carefully glue in. Get this bottom part here painted for the inside of the house, probably wood, a nice wood area there, and then decide before I go too far, do I want to put some plants in there or something, and how I want to put window treatments. A lot of the windows I've seen looking on Google had these with the Venetian blinds, some with wood slats, some just normal Venetian blinds and whatnot. So that's probably what I'll go with. So, all right. So I just want to kind of show what I'm doing there and the thought process and how I'm hoping to make this angled roof piece that needs to go on. So, okay, let's see if I can get this thing glued together. Hey, looky here. Got us a bay window. So what I did is glued that little roof section on, and I got to figure out what I'm going to roof it with. And then on the actual building siding piece, let me carefully let this, you can see there I sanded in there, kind of the angle there where it's going to fit. I don't know if that's going to show up really super well, but it's, so now it basically sits a little more flush against the building itself. If that, hopefully that shows up okay. So with that being done, now what I have to do before I get too far along, just because you don't want to work yourself into a corner, I will need to probably paint this piece. Paint the window. Oops. It's hard with one hand. Paint this the way I want it. Oh, sorry. Get the glazing inside I'll cut them off, the other windows that I have, the sample windows, because they'll fit nicely right inside there. Get them glued in. And once the window's painted, the color that's going to be, probably get it secured to this. I don't know if I'll do that first or if I'll wait till I get... It might be easier to do it first, because I think I'll be able to get the whole thing mounted up then with the window, right in there and press it on, because this adhesive back paper works relatively well. And it'll probably be fine to go ahead and, very carefully, once the window's actually mounted on this and this piece is painted, just go ahead and press it on there, because it'll overlap here. So I'll have to probably get this brick on first, get these pieces in here on the sides, and then be able to mount that with the window on it. And then figure out if I'm going to do an interior, now that I have that nice window, do I want to do an interior for that living room there? So, okay, just wanted to show that, and looks like I may have actually surprised myself and made a nice little bay window. And we'll see how things go moving forward. Alright, so while I got that bay window primered up with some paint and drying up, I decided to come over here and work on this a little bit. I think that's where I'm going to put that house. So I got to kind of set back in the hill a little bit. That's how it'll look from this side. So we'll do that, and see it comes up there on the bottom window. Kind of like that. Alright, so let's take a look at the other side. Okay. Here's the back side. And I guess I might have put too much of that concrete foundation, but whatever. And then I will bring the driveway, not exactly sure. Zoom out a little bit here. If I'll bring the driveway out to this road, or maybe even just straight. I'm not sure yet. Obviously that'll all then be, be lawn. And what I'm gonna do, all right, let's go up on our drone here for a moment. Since it's a little close here, and looking at this, I'm probably gonna get some sculpt to mold. And it might be hard to tell, but kind of looks like I could kind of bring this hill out a little bit. Just extend it, just to give them some more, backyard here, because right now you walk out that door and you're like, oh, help me. So I might do that. I might start that soon, because that much sculpting will take a while to dry. And then I'll give them a little bit more backyard. And then not sure what I'll do here. Might just be kind of the guy's yard. And then I think for these folks, maybe right about here, bring their driveway in and up to a garage and some stuff here, and then again maybe work those steps into the scene there, and then a path up to their front door, and then decide what I want to do back on the back side. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a house on that side yet or not. So that is. Just want to show how that looks right now as we continue working along. I think it'll look pretty nice. Yeah, I don't want to put too much in. I don't want to make it look too crowded. But I think, that split level ranch there with the farmhouse there, I think I can make that work. It looks kind of natural, at least to me it does. So, alright, so I just wanted to show kind of how we're going to fit it in the scene here. Need to get working on this side, then I'm getting that hill extended a little bit, or the backyard extended a little bit for him. And keep working the house. Alright, so I went ahead and got this backyard extended here. You can see how I modified the hill a little bit. And part of the reason that I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to be able to go ahead and have a little bit more of a realistic backyard there. I added a bit of a stone wall. I don't know why. Alright, so that's going to take quite a few days to set up, then I'll get it painted. I also added the driveway for those folks. So take it or leave it, that's where it is. If you don't like it, too bad. That's where your driveway is. So, we'll just make it work. And then I also, while I was doing this, was rocking a little bit. So I leveled off just inside there since I had the sculpt, the mold out. I went ahead and leveled it. So now the house sits in there nice and level. Doesn't rock back and forth. So I had a little drone view there. So that's that. All right, I'm gonna let that set up and get back to working on the house. Okay, back here on the house. Well, first off, you can see I painted. And I decided on basically a light sky blue color. I thought it looked pretty good. So, all right. So anyway, so that's got a coat of paint on it. But one that I got working on was the garage doors. And I'm thinking, the ones that come with it don't look right to me. That's them right there. They just didn't look quite right. And since I modified the garages, the frame that came with it doesn't fit anymore. So I'm looking around trying to think, you know, what I could use for garage material. And I have some of this. This is evergreen. I don't know if you can even read that. Let me see if I can make this legible here with the camcorder. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Alright. 4521 metal roofing. 3/16 of spacing. Just, I mean, it was roughly, it's not quite a 1.5 HO scale, but it was relatively close. So that's what I decided to use. That's the material there I decided to use, and I cut it into a garage door. I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. I want this one to be open. Well, that door is open. You ought to at least have the door up. And how in the world do you have the door up? This will be easy. It'll be down. So I'm thinking about how can I get the door in there. I said, well, jeez. I guess I could try to hang it off this roof, but that would have been way too cumbersome. So what I came up with was basically I used some HO scale eye bolts. These are Details West 2206 wire formed eye bolts. And I had, again, just in amongst the stuff in the workbench, I had some thin brass wire. I don't even know what dimension it is. It fits a number 78 drill, so that might tell you something. And then I used this as a sample, and here's what I came up with. So here's what I did for the garage door. This even shows up. You can see. So there it is. I drilled, put the 4 eyelets, the 4 eye bolts on the actual top of the garage door. Drilled them in, super glued them in, and then went ahead and so I can make that so that you can see that. Maybe that's better. And so I drilled number 80 holes, 480 holes for the eye bolts, stuck them through, super glued them in, snipped off the excess, got the wires, cut them, drilled number 78 holes there, stuck the wires in, very carefully and gingerly slid the door on, and there it is, a suspended garage door. So that's what we're going to have. Again, it won't be super visible. I'm going to focus here, but that's the door in there. You know, you can see it. So I figured, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now that I got that door, let me turn this so you can see. Alright, so that door is in. It will be open, the other one will be closed. I'll just take some of the same material, that roofing material, just cut it and just glue it in from the back, and then do some work in amongst here. Oops. In amongst, let me zoom out a little bit. To put some edging in here, right inside the door. Do a little bit underneath here. Oops, to fix that up. And then we'll have that pretty much done. So, alright, so I just wanted to show how we're going to do the one open garage door. And it was very tough to drill in there. And I didn't even think of this before I started. It would have been a lot easier to do something like that before you start the kit. So if you want to use an open garage door, you want to use something like that, do it ahead of time. So that's that. So there's our garage door, and we're going to keep working on the kit here. Keep moving along.